Man, fucking jobs are a joke. You know, they
Oh,
suck you
man, yeah.
in. Yeah. They suck you in. They suck you in with like a high hourly rate, and then they use you as a pawn in their little game and go, "Oh, we're just going to cut your hours because it's not as busy around that time. So we're just going to cut your hours." And you're like, "What? How am I supposed to? How am I
Yeah,
supposed to budget? You know,
yeah.
what the hell, man? Yeah,
I don't even know if they necessarily persuade you with a high hourly rate. I mean, maybe when you're super young, just entering the job market, your hourly rate's like zero. So, $10 is a 10,000% increase. So it can come across that way, at first quite easily. But 100%, dude. Jobs are just absolute. They've turned into an absolute disgrace, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, when you look on paper, like the cost, like the wages have actually increased, but yeah, the cost of living has gone up so much that like it's actually gone backwards. In relative terms.
Yeah, well, the reality is you can get it if you get a 10,000% wage increase, but your overall costs go up 20,000%.
Yeah.
I'd rather not get the increase on both ends. That's the simple math. So
Yeah.
they've been slipping post, Second World War, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
The media will say otherwise. The media will easily say otherwise. Like, here in Australia, I mean, I'm very familiar with the award systems and how, these government contracts or different industries have the award rates, and they go through their own systemic changes where they'll increase the wage, but it's so sneaky how they even promote those things because they'll say, "Oh, we're going to increase the wage by 10 or 12%," but it's
Yeah.
rolled out fractionally over 3 to 4 years usually. So the number sounds so much higher than what the actual impact is. When the nominal increase of that wage from that award system, it's not even in line with the true inflation rate of the economy, which it's just unfortunately another lie for
Yeah.
political promotion. Yeah, it's disgusting. This bad advertising.
Exactly, man. Yeah. It's just unless you know math, you don't really know that it's happening. Like most people just kind of like are born into this new generation of like this is how it is now. And so that's why if you talk to like especially younger people, they'll be like, "Why are you complaining?" Like, you don't realize that like the money used to go so much further than what it
Yep.
does now. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting paid more because I've been able to find something, but only through like contracts and being a casual employee that pays a higher hourly rate. But most of the jobs I see out there are still the same amount, than they were 10, 15 years ago. And we were like working for a corporation, getting paid a pretty good amount, being able to go out for drinks all the time, and
Yeah. Yeah.
being able to get regular takeout, but we would still cook and all that sort of stuff. But then like an economic crisis occurs, like 2008, and then the company's like, "Oh yeah, we need to cut back our expenses because it's affecting us as well." But like
Yeah, but they always
if
make
you read
profits.
if you read up on the figures, they're still making the same profit. Just people switched from 600 ml cokes to 2 liters.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly that. I mean, the promotion's poor. The costs are not balancing out. It's the rate of, cost of living is completely overtaking. It's like the cost of living's driving in a Ferrari, and your
Yeah,
wages are driving on a bicycle, or you're essentially walking. You just cannot compete. And this trend has been going, like I said before, like post Second World War, just been creeping and creeping and creeping.
Yeah.
And beyond that, there was a time where jobs you would offer some fantastic perks, or perks that could actually benefit your life, whether it was entertainment, respite, decreasing other costs. Like, once upon a time, we worked at Coca-Cola, and they gave like four cases of whatever beverages they had in their arsenal at the time. And if you think about how much that actually was per month, it is, it's quite a bit of cash.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a nice
100%.
perk. Plus, on top of that, they had other incentives, and we didn't have managerial jobs. We didn't have these crazy jobs that you would think the manager gets a free parking spot, or I don't know,
Yeah.
free travel, fuel card, etc., etc. Like, no, we were just moderate workers that enjoyed some perks. And even other jobs that I've had in the past where I made peanuts, man, I made peanuts, but I had perks that was sending me to classy restaurants, events, free concerts,
Yeah. Free
man, like
tickets.
free tickets I could share with friends, dude. Making minimum wage, like McDonald's wage, but I had these amazing perks with that career. You ain't gonna get that now. They are scrapping all the perks. They're just saying, nah, we're gonna find any worker from Bangladesh to Somalia, and they'll do it for peanuts plus no perks. And we don't give a crap
Yeah.
about our workers anyway, so we'll just give them the bare minimum. So perks are
Yeah.
completely out the window as well, with almost all jobs.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's gone from like in the 80s, or like, well, the 80s was kind of like the last sort of time, but back in the the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and all through World War One and World War Two, it's all been about the working class. And so, if you like, companies are sort of built around the working class, the sort of perks, job for life, security. In America, it's having the right insurance, all that sort of stuff, right? But what's kind of happened now is that we've changed to a consumerist culture, and consumerism is, in theory, like a perfect form of slavery. And so what you do is you get people that, even though they do get paid more, their expenses are way higher, and they'll pay for things, and they get addicted to things. They have subscriptions, and all of that money cycles back through to the companies that they essentially are working for. And so that was very different to back in the day, where there was more independent companies that you would buy products through, all of that sort of stuff. So the consumerist culture is this never-ending cycle of being dependent on the state, being dependent on the corporations as well, to like buy their products to make you feel happy. You just sort of get addicted to it, and it's like a throwaway culture.
Yeah,
And then put the cost of living on top of that as well, and yeah, it just starts to like dismantle a society from its
to-
like foundations.
yeah. I mean, 100%. Like, just going back with the perks, I forgot to mention one crazy one is, once upon a time I even worked at Microsoft, and the guy was telling me the year prior, for their team meeting or whatever, for a whole week, the company would fly them to Fiji, and they would do their
Yeah,
team meet, like building, annual team building in Fiji. And this was the
yeah,
first year where we just went down the road and, and just had presentations in I don't know, a restaurant or something like that. I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, dude, that's a huge drop in a perk. I
Oh,
mean,
it's been going down since the 80s. Like, my dad had these like in Singapore, like flew everyone to Singapore in the 80s, and Roman party, like a Roman. Everyone's in draped in Roman outfits, and it's like really bizarre, elaborate stuff. Like the whole floor of a hotel, booked out.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
You're not going to get
Yeah.
that anymore. I mean, you will with certain areas, but I mean, we're talking about the, the commoners or us petty peasants, right? Which even our
Yeah.
managers, man, like y- managers are even turning into peasants these days. I saw on the news that more people are taking up even second jobs, doing Uber driving. I think
Yeah.
you got experience with this as well.
I
And
know, right? I hate it.
it's
I hate it,
just
but like it's a source of income there, you know?
yeah. Before it used to be the option was to take these jobs, these odd secondary jobs after your full-time job to get ahead, to buy a house, to I don't know, go on a more extravagant holiday or save for a wedding or just some major life expense. Now it's just to stay alive. Like
Yeah, just
that's
survive. There's not
fucking
even any
sad,
kids
bro. I
involved.
mean,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
just
just
an individual.
sad.
Yeah, just an individual wage. Like, yeah, everything's. But you know what's tied into that is the consumerism. Because if we didn't have this consumerist culture, we would be forcing change through that, and like through the opposite consumerism. So it's the consumerism that's created this cost of living crisis as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we just prioritize things in a different way, we wouldn't have this issue. But that's the thing, is that people don't want to go back, and they want to feel special and feel rich when they're not, and that's why we have this issue.
Yeah, I mean, you'd know this as well, but even before I was a young man, the stuff that I would get away with doing with nothing, like going out or even just having a decent meal, not even something it's so extravagant, even holidays.
Yeah,
Man, with very little money, and we enjoyed ourselves with nothing. Now, dude, you want to go to the cinema. You want to go to the cinema, and the cinema was one of the cheapest things you can do. You could be out of pocket $100, just two people, a family,
yeah.
150. I mean, that is just ridiculous. One of the cheapest things that people used to do back in the day, like, oh, I don't have that much money. I worked really hard. I also don't have the energy to do something
It's
that's
also that they'd
too.
scam you at the candy bar.
Just all of it, man.
Like, how does an ice cream? Why does it have to cost $10 when Woolworths, it only costs two? Like, what's the difference? They have the same buying power.
Yeah. So you got to ask yourself, like, what am I really working this full day just to go to a cinema for 2 hours? I mean, it it also diminishes the job. Like, people don't fully understand that you could be doing a relatively crap job, like, or something that you just have no interest in. But if that job enables you to do more than just, bare basic things, you do appreciate that job more. But if you can't do those things, oh, that was a good kill. If you can't do those things, it diminishes the job. Like, once your spending power completely deflates, the way
Yeah,
the energy you put and the respect you put in your work, which takes, let's call it 8 hours a day, diminishes tremendously, man. I mean, that's where the term slave labor really comes from, I think. It's not so much the fact that, oh, you're not doing something for yourself, you're not building something. No, us humans got around just fine, working a job that we didn't necessarily care about it, but we enjoyed our peers. We felt a little bit respected, and we could afford things outside our work. I mean, that's a perfectly okay model. You don't have to work and build a business, and you could just be building a family as well, and providing, and not give two shits of an ass about the job you do, as long as it serves a greater purpose outside those hours. Like, that's perfectly fine. Like, there's actually nothing wrong with that, but that's been totally destroyed.
yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
why jobs are a joke.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we were talking about more on that point is men. Like, men have been the workers, like the industrial workers of society since the dawn of time. It's pretty much been our default, you could say. And what this current society is not factoring in is that when you as a man cannot like provide, like back in the day you could work in a gas station, you could stack shelves, you could work in a factory and provide the bare basics for a family, that has a lot of value for a man. Now you could be a manager and make six figures, and you cannot afford a family. You still need to then have your partner work part time or full time. Of course, it depends on the choices that you make where you live, but let's be real, like, even living in cheap areas of the country have severe consequences, like degeneracy, drugs, and stuff. So you have to be quite realistic with what's available, and affording comfortable places to live that you're not necessarily extravagant are priced out of everyone's price range with a job. Like, there's hardly anyone I know that can afford these things at even at a relatively high level job for a family. That's crazy. Like, that's a huge shift from what you could do with your work before and what you can do with a job now. Like, that's beyond a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.